It's Tuesday, March 16th, and some of these peppers that we planted a few weeks ago are getting pretty big. None of these have their true leaves yet, but this one is just starting to get them. So it was also having some of its roots grow out of the bottom, which is starting to happen here. That's the white. So that's a good time to pot these up. And the first stage is to go into these rose pots. So I just put a little bit of soil in. I take the nylon off of the outside of these pods, put them into the rose pot, and then fill in the outside, put the label in, and water them, and that's it. It's Saturday, March 20th, and although it's not time to plant anything outside yet, it is a good time to clean up these garden beds. So we've been cleaning off the trellises and pulling out the old plants and roots. And once we get all that cleaned up, we will mix up some new soil to fill the beds in with. And over here, we've got some compost and some peat moss and some vermiculite to do that with. Okay, I know it's super windy, but I wanted to show our progress here. Here's one of the beds that's cleaned up, and we pulled out all the roots, and Stephanie went through with a hoe and kind of broke everything up. We took out the perennials from all of our beds. We just sort of pry them out and sit them on the ground, and we'll put them back in on top when we're done. After cleaning things up, we add back in our filler that we made with the vermiculite and the peat moss and the compost. And there's also some alfalfa meal and some aluminum sulfate to lower the pH a little bit, because we had that soil test which told us those might be helpful. And when we're done, we'll kind of even this out and we'll wet it so everything stays in place and kind of settles in. And then in a month or so, when this gets enough rain on it and so on, this will be well dissolved, like the fertilizer and the acid, and it'll be a perfect place to plant it. Okay, after a lot of hard work, especially by Stephanie, the garden beds are all ready. You can see our chives are back in their home, and there's some green. There's some chives coming up. We've got our nice new planting mix on top. Nice loose soil underneath, very rich, very healthy. And again, we added alfalfa meal and aluminum sulfate to boost the potassium and the phosphorus without boosting the nitrogen too much, and to lower the pH a little bit. And it's really important to give the soil time to absorb the aluminum sulfate after you add it. So it's perfect timing to add it today, because today's the 20th of March, and it takes about a month for that stuff to kind of settle in. And we plan to plant out here in mid-April, about the 17th or 20th. So by the time we're ready to plant, everything should be good, and we should have a really great growing season this year. Fingers crossed, especially since last year was suboptimal. Okay, just real quick, I want to show you the perennials. We pry these babies out of the garden when we top them off with soil. Here's the oregano. Not much going on, but it will grow back. It did last year. And here are the chives. Notice that they're the only thing green around. Yep, they're growing fresh, and should keep going the rest of the season. I've had a good run with the small arrow garden here with this lettuce. The leaf tips are a little bit brown because the light is too low. We can't raise it up anymore, which means the plants are too tall. So it's time to harvest all this. Using starting mix to start your seedlings after we pot them up from the peat pods is great, because it's pretty sterile. Like, you don't tend to get bugs or anything in it, which you would maybe with potting soil. But it's got no nutrition whatsoever, which means that once the seeds, or the plants, the sprouts, use the nutrition that came in the seeds themselves, they don't have anything else to grow on. So normally I would solve that problem outdoors with my fish emulsion fertilizer, but that smells bad. So indoors I break with the organic rule, and I use Miracle-Gro. And we don't need much. because, we don't have any seedlings right now. So I have an 1/8 teaspoon, and I use half of this. So 1/16 of a teaspoon of the regular Miracle-Gro into a 20-ounce bottle, and then I fill that up with like boiled or distilled water, and then I'll water the plants with it. And that's just enough. We'll do that every couple weeks. It's just enough to sort of keep them going as they grow and get bigger indoors. My work situation changed. We were intending on planting a lot of stuff this weekend, the 2nd and 3rd. But I have to travel for work during this pandemic, so the 170 things we were going to start this weekend, we started tonight. All in peat pods, all nicely labeled. It's kind of a mess down here because we've got so many things going on, but in a couple of days when our tomatoes here are all sprouted, we should be able to condense everything so everything's under the lights, and most of the things that need to be are under the heat, or are on top of the heat mats here. And this stuff is meant to be, this new stuff is meant to be planted outside in the garden in about 2.5, 3 weeks from now, weather permitting, so we'll hope for the best. Here you can see the peat pods growing in real time. We're expanding 170 of them to start seedlings today. And here's what we've got. These are basically all greens: chard, pak choy, butter crunch lettuce. Down here, you can see we've got some sprouts. Arugula, romaine lettuce has sprouted, so that's kind of exciting. Again, it's only been, 2 full days. And over here, I don't think any of this is sprouted yet, but we've got a lot of spinach and mosh in here. I don't think there's anything else. And then a little bit more pak choy here that didn't fit in with the other ones. Here are our tomatoes. You can see this guy isn't doing very well, needs to be trimmed, but the other ones are looking okay. Let a few more come up and then we'll trim them. And you can see I have my fan going to kind of agitate things to make the stem stronger. And here are our peppers, which are growing well. And these have been going for just over a month at this point. So yeah, in 2-ish weeks, we hope to move all these sprouted greens outside, and that will kick off our outdoor garden season. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching.